Yousei is recommended for individuals 13 and up for depictions of crime scenes and blood. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey guys, this is RavenSylphe again. How's it going? So, I was looking up on, I guess I should say, welcome back to Yousei. We got, it looks like, from what I read, we got the Killer Lost ending. I think. Just by going by what they had in here on the official site, they have kind of a walkthrough, about what, choices to make. And there's the Mei ending. Or I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. They don't give you like exact answers or exact reasons or whatever. I know I didn't get the true ending because I've got a few answers off from what they have on here. But I figured I would end up going for the true end. That way we would know exactly what happens. Though it looks like we'll need to unlock all 4 endings, or reach all 4 endings before we can unlock like the extras in the game's epilogue. So actually, maybe I'll just do the try for the Mei ending. Which, what is it saying here? It says the ending is a similar path to the previous one, but in this case, you'll be keeping your trust levels low with Gursky. Reaching this end will unlock the option to give Mei glasses. Okay, I don't know what that means, but So, I guess let's start this up again and see what's going. I might just, I don't know, I feel kind of bad the last 2 games skipping through until I reached a point, something that was different. I kind of want to go through it again, but, I don't know. Because I really like the story, I really like the characters. The voice acting is very well done. And I just like the story, and I don't want to have to skip all of that again, over and over again. But we'll see. I may just go back when I go in through editing and cut out all the unimportant parts, but I'm going to enjoy the story as long as I can. Anyways, let's start game.
Of course it is. What do you think? Does it say mild-mannered reporter to you?
It says I picked this up at the dollar store. I don't have to wear any, do I?
Not if you don't want to.
But it's more fun this way, don't you think?
I'm not sure if I'd categorize wearing glasses as fun. Sure, why not? It'll be a party. I shrug.
Excellent!
Aki hands me a pair of dark frames and I try them on. So...
They make you look smart.
I'm going to ignore the implication of that statement. Actually, he doesn't look too bad in glasses. I don't look too bad in glasses either. Aki's only response is a teasing smile.
So, are you ready to go?
Sure. Just please let me sleep in the car.
Got him!
That sounds ominous. The real football pulls up my arms and I grudgingly stand.
Good job, David. Take him to the lab upstairs.
The lab? Guess I'm in a horror film after all. Get your hands off me! I pull away from the guy holding me, David or something. You have no right to treat me this way! The young woman glares at me.
And you had no right to break in here and steal our research! I'm amazed that you actually came back.
I said that the 3 of the people in front of me. I'm pretty sure I could outrun all of them. But it's a long sprint to the door. If anyone else shows up to stop me, I'm done for. I sigh and hold up my hands. Fine, lead me to wherever this lab is and we'll talk. Just don't touch me, okay?
David, Nathan, take him in.
David escorts me down the hallway with the other 2 follow close behind. War stars, Nathan I guess, brandishes his light sword at me. As if it's a useful weapon of some sort. At the end of the hall, David ushers me into a small, sparsely furnished room.
What if he's from Western? They've been trying to get their hands on our research for years.
I don't know, man. He doesn't look smart enough to be Western.
What, even with the glasses? I'm hurt. The door swings open, cutting off any response David might offer me. The door bursts open and a girl with platinum blonde hair and wide eyes pokes her head into the door.
She was with me!
Chance? In the doorway stands Chance Jackson, part-time barista and full-time aspiring singer and full-time pain in my ass. We first met at a coffee shop last week. That's when I tripped over the dead body that got me tangled up in all of this craziness. I didn't expect to see her again, and I certainly didn't expect her to lie to cover for me.
Miss Jackson?
Detective Gursky is just as surprised as I am.
Officer! Hello again!
Chance gives Gursky a small wave.
I was just coming by to drop off lunch for my boyfriend and I heard they caught a thief. But you've got it all wrong. It's not him at all.
She looks at me, her eyes beginning to well up with tears.
Don't arrest poor Kangai!
Poor Kangai?
He glances questioningly at me out of the corner of his eye. I shrug.
He was at the coffee shop with me last week. We're open late and he was there the whole time.
Is that true?
Yeah, I was at the coffee shop.
That's not possible. Our cameras caught you.
Well, your cameras are wrong. I know what I saw.
Chance stomps her foot on the ground as if to prove a point. Jupiter doesn't seem impressed.
There's no need for your theatrics, Bertha.
Chance flinches at the mention of her birth name. Looks like these two don't get along very well. Not sure I want to know the history.
Officer, you can't trust the testimony of a witness who is clearly biased towards the accused.
Whoa, I don't know if she's biased towards me, but it is weird that she'd go out of her way to help me out of the situation. Gursky looks at me with a critical eye. I turn my head to avoid
Show
his
me the
gaze.
video you mentioned earlier.
Of course. Follow me.
Gursky points at me.
You come with us.
I what?
I'm not letting you out of my sight, kid. Now get up and let's go.
Right. I scramble to my feet and follow him out the door. Out of the corner of my eye, I see Chance slip away from the group, go looking for her boyfriend, I guess.
And what if he dyed it after this video?
But wouldn't he dye all of his hair in that case? Or get it cut?
I suppose, but it's still a flimsy alibi. Combined with an eyewitness account of you somewhere else, though.
She bites her lip.
Something feels wrong here, but I won't deny the evidence.
Maybe you could call it reasonable doubt? I mean, it's enough of a difference to think it might be someone else, right?
We'll see after the police sort it out.
Where'd that police dude go, anyway?
And everyone at the lab was harassing him today. They mistook him for a thief.
Yikes, dude. If I had been there, I would have cleared everything up as quickly as I could.
That's okay. I told them he didn't do it.
She giggles, resting her elbows on the table, and props her head in her hands. She and Sean both look at me expectantly. Yeah, thanks. The feeling that I owe her something lies like a weight in my stomach. Mei gives my shirt a gentle tug, and I glance at her from the corner of my eye. It's clear she wants to go. If it's not too much trouble, we're gonna go eat now. It's been a long day for both of us.
Oh, of course. We were just on our way out anyway.
Sean smiles and gives us both an overly enthusiastic wave. He drapes his arms over Chance's shoulders, and the two of them leave the cafeteria. As soon as the door shuts, Mei turns to me. She looks worried. What's wrong?
That girl was there before. I'm going to stay with Mei until she goes to sleep. After that, we need to talk.
Okay. Sure, I'll wait here. Aki takes Mei's hand and leads her to their room. I throw myself on the couch and groan. My body aches and my head is pounding. I haven't felt this bad since that day. That day again. Why do I keep thinking about it? Why did I even come back to Edgewater? Was it guilt? I close my eyes and exhale slowly, letting my muscles my muscles are still tense. I carefully review the events of the day, trying to place them all in order. My emotions won't stop churning inside of me. Or maybe that's dinner.
Okay?
I open my eyes slowly to see Aki sitting next to me. I've been better. Where's Mei?
Sleeping finally.
It took a while to calm her down.
Calm her.
When people around her experience extreme emotions, it starts to overwhelm her. If it gets to be too much, she starts reverting.
Reverting?
Forgetting herself. But when I project thoughts, I do it selectively. When I touch her, I clear away everyone else's emotions and project only her own.
But when you do it, doesn't that mean you feel everything she feels?
It hardly matters.
She scratches her cheek and glances away from me. So, you wanted to talk?
Yeah. About what happened earlier?
I'm sorry.
As am I. I've been expecting you to know everything about us, but I haven't been completely open with you.
She takes a deep breath and releases it slowly.
So, it's open season. Ask what you want, and I'll answer you honestly.
A hint of a smirk plays on her lips.
Within reason.
Okay. Why don't you like Naoki? Looking at crime scenes, you said I didn't understand. She nods once.
Con, what's the worst moment of your life? Do you remember it?
Of course I do. I lost the person I care about most.
How clearly do you remember it?
I still remember everything that happened, but I guess it doesn't hurt like it used to. It's been a while.
Naoki's Kansei is a double-edged sword. It's not just that he has a perfect memory. It's more like he stores up all of his experiences. If he reads a book, he doesn't just memorize the words. He actually memorizes what it feels like to read the book. That includes the temperature of the room he was in or how he felt when he read it.
So what happened today?
It's not just the imagery. He'll actually remember what it's like to be in that moment, as if he never left. Most people heal with time, but with him...
She lowers her head and buries her face in her hands.
I can't let that happen anymore.
Anymore? For a moment, Aki's body tenses up. She finally relaxes with a rueful chuckle.
I did promise open season.
She sits up and clasps her hands in her lap.
Our mother died during childbirth. All the doctors ever said was that there were complications. It hit our father pretty hard. At first he tried to be a good dad and raise us alone, but I guess the stress got to him. He started drinking, and then...
She stares at her hands.
Well, I guess somewhere in his heart he blamed us for her death. On bad days, he'd hurt Naoki. After a while, all of his days were bad days. That's when I first noticed Naoki's Kansei. He'd wake up in the middle of the night screaming in pain. He remembered every detail, every strike, as if it was still happening. I don't know when my Kansei appeared, but as soon as I figured out what I could do, I started trying to control it. You can master your Kansei if you work at it. I couldn't force him to stop, but I learned how to redirect his anger.
Redirect it? To who? Aki says nothing, but she instinctively clutches her arms against her chest. I'm sorry.
Eventually, one of our teachers noticed and called Child Protective Services. I thought that was our escape, but they wouldn't let us stay together, so...
Her gaze turns to the room where Naoki lies. So you ran away?
Yes.
She glances at me out of the corner of her eye.
I don't suppose I have to tell you what it was like.
I guess not, but when I ran away, I was alone. I didn't have to look out for anyone else.
By that same respect, you had no one to look out for you either.
I didn't mind being alone.
I'll pretend I believe that.
Thanks. Aki leans back against the couch and stares at the ceiling.
Anything else on your mind?
What happened to me? I mean, I think I was in Dr. Johan's body, like, I don't know, possessing it? Aki wrinkles her brow. She definitely looks troubled.
Have you ever had a blood reaction before?
I don't know.
Kansei is made more powerful through physical contact. Blood contact amplifies that.
Yeah, Lee Mei mentioned that, but I'm not sure what she meant.
When you relive someone's dying moment, you're basically already inside their head. So it makes sense that a blood reaction would put you inside their body entirely.
I shudder. Well, I hate it.
Yeah, blood reactions tend to be fairly overwhelming. Honestly, I'm surprised you've never had one before.
Well, I can't say my experience with my Kansei has been very thorough. I do my best to avoid seeing anything dead if I can help it.
Well, you've done a really poor job of that this past week.
Yeah, I've noticed. Aki frowns and stares at the ceiling.
You might not want to hear this.
Open season, right? She looks at me sadly.
Whatever's going on, it's about you.
I was afraid of that.
Miko hasn't told us anything about you, but I know he knows more than you've shared. And the fact that he's here proves this is a special case.
What do you mean?
We're not supposed to notice, but he's not really a proper member of the police force here. He was assigned to catch us, and all he ever really does now is make sure we don't get in trouble.
She grins.
Or cause any. He's a detective, but he doesn't have a partner? A detective shouldn't have even come in response to Jupiter's call today.
So he came because it was about me. I don't think he was expecting to see me, though.
Well, if he didn't come for you, he came because there's something important here he has to watch over.
And we came here to investigate Otten, who also died shortly after I returned.
So whatever is here really is connected to you.
Well, great. I groan. Ugh. Why? I don't even know any of these people.
Then the question is, how do they know you?
I bury my head in my hands. I don't think I want to know.
I don't think we have a choice.
Yeah, I know. Aki places her hand against mine, and I feel as if I've just taken in a breath of fresh air. My shoulders feel lighter, and the leftover sickness from today's dissolves. What are you doing?
Filtering your thoughts. It works for the others. I assume it's working for you too?
I smile at her. Yeah, it is. I haven't felt this way in a long time. Aki wraps her fingers around mine and lowers my hand.
Good.
The two of us sit in silence for a few minutes. I soak in the feeling of having only my own thoughts to contend with. Aki's voice gently breaks the silence.
Tomorrow's going to be rough. You should get some sleep.
Yeah, I guess so. I let my hand slip from hers, expecting the weight of the day to flood back into my mind. Instead, the feelings creep sluggishly into the edges of my mind, but with a stubborn thought, I push them aside. Aki beams at me.
You'll be able to hold on to yourself longer each time.
That sounds ideal.
See you in the morning.
Aki waves cheerfully, but her eyes look weary. Aoki and Aaron are sound asleep by the time I enter the room. I close the door gently behind me and crawl into my sleeping bag. For the first time in 3 years, I sleep without nightmares.
Morning, Con. How are you?
Feeling a lot better after last night, thanks.
Glad to hear it. We're going to have to tread carefully today. Now that everyone knows Johansen's dead, the killer is probably going to be on edge. Be careful, okay?
Now would be a good time to tell me if you know anything.
It's just a hunch.
You sure have a lot of these hunches. Are you sure it's not related to that thing I saw you slip in your pocket at Mr. Otten's place?
You noticed.
I'm good at noticing.
Why didn't you say anything about it?
Actually, I think I just did.
I meant when it happened!
So what was it?
An SD card, mostly a bunch of documents and formulas that we couldn't decipher.
Documents you'll be handing over to the proper authorities, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was definitely going to get around to doing that.
What else?
Aki told me about your father. I'm really sorry.
So am I.
You can't blame yourself for what happened.
No, every time I look back on it, I keep thinking that I was such a coward. I just wanted to pretend that it wasn't happening. I guess I thought that if I wished hard enough, it would just change.
Do you ever think about him?
It's impossible not to. I remember everything.
Right. Sorry.
What is. You can't change the past.
Naoki pauses, and I see a faint flicker of recall on his face. He takes a slow breath and forces a smile.
What about your father? Did you know him?
My biological one? Not really. I was dumped at a hospital like cliche in a basket. Complete with the world's worst take care of him note. But my dad was great. He used to joke that he and mom were trying to raise their own personal army of children.
You had a lot of siblings?
2 sisters and a brother. I think the plan was for more, but we wound up being a real handful. I don't think a day went by that John and I didn't get into some sort of pointless fight. Dad would make us go build something together as punishment. He said it would force us to learn how to work together. Man, our yard had some of the ugliest birdhouses, built with crooked nails. He forced us to hang them up outside our windows to remind ourselves that we don't have to be perfect to help others. And that working together is always more productive than fighting. He really was something.
You speak of him in the past tense.
He passed away this year. My heart problems run in his family.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I came back as soon as I heard, but his funeral was long past.
You could at least visit his grave, right?
I could. I was planning to, really. It's just that everything that happened, I haven't had time to get away.
Why don't you talk to Mr. Gursky about it? I'm sure he'll give you permission to go.
Mr. Gursky? I don't know. Every time I talk to him, he seems a little cranky.
It's not you. I think Aki just has that effect on him sometimes. I just wish she wouldn't fight him so much. I know she's trying to protect us, but she carries too much of the burden alone. And in the end, we let her.
Hey, I have an idea. I could be your assistant.
My what?
Every detective needs an assistant, right? It'll be perfect. I mean, we've already solved one case together.
I'm not sure I agree with your definition of together.
We could go around and solve all kinds of mysteries. It'll be fun.
I'm not sure I agree with your definition of fun either.
See, we already have the witty banter part down.
I don't know why she's so interested in me, but it's making me feel uncomfortable. And now she's trying to participate in the investigation. I don't want to share any information with her, but at the same time, keeping her close might be a good idea. No thanks. No thanks, I don't really need an assistant. Besides, we don't even have a mystery. You said yourself it was an accident.
I still think it would be fun to investigate.
There's nothing fun about someone dying, accident or not.
Just trying to lighten the mood. You really are a sourpuss.
There isn't a member of this group she hasn't tried to manipulate in one way or another.
Not exactly the same story Chance gave me. But what was I expecting, really? I have to confess, this one makes a lot more sense. So we'll talk later.
You know where to find me.
Naoki says you try to handle too much on your own. I think he's worried about you.
What does that even mean? I'm fine.
It means that you try to shoulder everyone else's burdens, but never share yours with us. Last night, you filtered Naoki's kansai, and Lee Mei's, and mine. You're putting too much strain on your body.
So?
So it's not healthy, okay? Naoki and Lee Mei have you to lean on, but who do you have?
Kan, I think you're misunderstanding. Look at Naoki. He's a genius. He can master anything he looks at.
I found this note cute in the printer, but I'm not sure what all these numbers are for.
Let me see.
I hand the sheet of paper to Aki, and she flips between them quickly.
It's an access log, a list of who logs into the computer and when. But all these time codes have the same ID number.
First page is a student suspension notice. The ID must match the intended recipient.
I don't suppose you have any idea who this was meant for.
Sadly, I have not taken it upon myself to seek out everyone's student ID number.
It's probably private information anyway.
Is there some way we could find out whose number that is? Aki grins.
There's always a way. Let's go!
Where?
To see my brother, of course.
Aki strides along the walkway silently. I fall into place beside her. Her eyes take on a distant look for a moment. Talking to Naoki, no about. Naoki greets us outside the building. He still looks tired.
Are you up to it?
Up to what? Naoki nods wearily at the two of us.
I've had worse.
He tries to speak reassuringly, but he sounds worn
Kan
out.
found something. Looks like a student ID number. Was thinking we could do a lost and found if you're up to it.
That's not a problem.
Naoki looks worried, but she nods and hands the printouts to him. He glances at the string of numbers.
Okay.
Anyone we need to look out for?
Look out. We're not going to break into anything, are we?
Nothing like that. Sometimes acquiring information is as simple as pretending you already have it. Sean's in there. If you can talk to him for a bit, that would help.
Consider it done. Come along, Kan.
Aki throws the front door open and marches in. I follow her, but Naoki hangs back with it from the two of us.
Hey, you two. What's up?
Sean, so glad we could catch you. Kangai and I have a very important question for you.
Sure. Ask me anything.
Can you minor in bagpiping here?
Minor in what?
Bagpiping. You know,
Aki holds her hands up and mimes playing a set of bagpipes.
like the instrument.
I would have to look that up for you.
The hell, Aki?
We'd appreciate it.
I'll be right back.
With contented smile, Aki seats herself in a seat and leans back as if she's waiting for someone. Well, obviously. The front door swings open and Naoki enters. He approaches the information desk timidly and waits for the bored-looking guy at the counter to notice him.
Excuse me. I seem to have misplaced my student ID.
Oh, yeah?
The guy snorts through his nose and gives Naoki a smug look. Hey, don't be mean to Naoki! He's a precious baby!
I can get a replacement here, right?
For $25 you can.
Oh, sure. That's fine.
Naoki fumbles with his wallet and counts out a few bills.
The number is, 14773210002, I think.
He recites the number from memory, and the worker types it into his computer.
Okay, Nathan. Fill out this ID request form in triplicate, and I'll need to see 2 different government-approved IDs.
Looks like my cue.
Aki pulls out her phone and taps the screen. Naoki's phone starts ringing and he answers it quickly.
Hello?
Did you know a hummingbird can fly backwards?
I raise an eyebrow at Aki and she sticks her tongue out at me. I don't think I'll ever understand her.
And upside down.
You found it. Where?
I'm kind of craving ramen. What about you?
Naoki pauses for a moment before laughing.
I thought I already looked there. No, it's okay. Thanks. I owe you one.
He hangs up and turns to the guy at the counter.
Looks like I don't need one after all.
Okay, whatever.
The worker sighs and returns to his idly surfing the internet.
Time to go.
Aki waits for Naoki to leave before strolling casually to the door. Once outside, she gives her brother an approving pat on the back.
Nicely done. As usual.
Naoki beams. So what now?
Well, the ID belongs to Nathan. Talk to him, I guess.
Well, I'm just supposed to walk up to him and ask if he killed Dr. Johansson.
Well, I was thinking more of tying him up and hanging him off a tall building.
Ugh.
We could call it aerial motivation.
Let me guess. Aerovation?
Nope. Motivarial. Nice try, though.
I don't know if this is just as bad or worse than what I came up with. Probably just as bad. Well, yeah, I'm going to tell Gursky about it.
Your loss. You go see Miko. I'm heading back to the student union to see if Sean's got an answer about that bagpiping minor.
Really? I think Nathan might have a good motive for killing Dr. Johansson.
What makes you say that?
Well, I found this note in the printer. It's an expulsion notice.
Nathan was going to be expelled?
Supposedly for unauthorized access to confidential files. I hand the paper to Gursky and he glances over them quickly. That's his student ID number on the second page.
And how do you know this?
It might be better if I don't tell you that. Gursky arches an eyebrow and it's not hard to tell he already has a solid idea of where I got the information.
Right. Well, getting kicked out of school is a better motive than anything else we've got. Let's talk to him.
I think he's at the library right now. We can go meet there to talk to him. Coffee. That's all I got for now.
Don't wander off.
Of course not. We're going to meet up, aren't we? Actually, wait. One second. Maybe I need to talk. Nathan, I can talk to... okay. I didn't know. Dr. Gursky meets me near the library entrance. As soon as he sees me, he pulls out a notepad and begins to flip through it.
You look determined. Something happened?
Yes and no, but you're on the case now officially.
Finally!
Number I found?
Yeah, Nathan's right.
Yeah, except Nathan claims someone else must have been using his card. He said it was probably Aaron. And Aaron denied it, and he's got an alibi. But he also said that Nathan and David use their cards interchangeably, so...
So we've got evidence of a crime and no one to pin it on.
Gurki says you and Naoki are supposed to interview David.
Convenient. Well, it shouldn't take long for us to figure out what's up.
Sean looks surprisingly uncomposed. Is he nervous? I think we can handle it.
But why take the risk? Maybe you should go get that cop to help you out. He doesn't know you're after him. There's no hurry.
Actually, that's where you're wrong. The longer we wait, the more he's going to think about running.
Okay, but...
We're going now. Mei and I leave before Sean can protest anymore. I glance over my shoulder before the front door closes. Sean's making a mad dash for the cafeteria. What's that about? I turn to Lee and Mei. Something doesn't feel right, does it? Mei shakes her head, and both of us feel uneasy, especially after seeing Sean's swift departure. As we approach the lab, we see Nathan exit the front door. He looks like he's in a hurry. He knows! Sean must have had second thoughts and given him a call. Nathan looks up at us, and I see panic flash across his face. He turns and runs back into the building. Go round! Without hesitation, Lee Mei. Poor girl, I keep messing up her name. Sprints around the side of the building. I run for the front door and throw it open before it can close all the way. I catch up to Nathan quickly and grab his shirt. He whirls around and pulls away from my grasp.
Let me go.
He pulls out his light sword out and points it directly at me. You can't threaten me with a prop sword! Turban grunt smashes the blade of his sword against the floor. The end shatters into a small rain of glass shards. He points the jagged glass blade at me and turns it slowly. The sharp end glistens in the bright light.
Let me go.
Okay, I may have spoken prematurely. I take a slow step towards him. Can you just tell me why you killed Dr. Johansson? Nathan glares and tightens his grip.
Don't mourn him. He was a coward, too afraid to make use of the power he had. He didn't deserve to have it.
And you do?
I deserve it more than you.
Nathan races towards me and swings his sword at me. I jump back, but the glass tears into my shoulder. Ah! I clutch my shoulder and feel something warm between my fingers. I hold my hand tight against my shoulder to slow the blood and try to ignore the sting. Guess he wasn't kidding about all that sword training.
It's not fair!
Nathan's practically screaming by now.
Why do you get to have it when I can't?
He swings the shattered blade at me again. I stumble back, barely escaping another cut. What are you talking about? With an angry cry, he thrusts the sword towards me, driving the glass into my thigh. My legs collapse under my weight, and I make a desperate limp backwards. Blood rushes from my leg faster than I thought possible.
You really are a waste of dragon's blood.
What? I stumble into the wall and slide down to the ground. My body feels cold. I know this feeling. It's the sting of death, and this time it's me. It takes a moment for me to realize that I'm genuinely scared. I'm so used to the terror I felt at so many others. And so many others that now I feel just like a distant observation. Blood pulses relentlessly from the cut in my leg. He must have sliced through something major. Nathan lifts the sword over his head and brings it down on my head. In my last bitter moment, I shut my eyes and brace for the impact. But the impact never comes. Lee Mei! I open my eyes to see Lee Mei standing over me. She's blocked the sword with her hand. The glass of the sword has broken off and gone straight through her palm. But she isn't bleeding. My vision is getting blurrier. I think her hand is sparking? She's a robot? Nathan releases the sword with a terrified squeak. Lee Mei inspects her hand calmly and flexes it. It's still impaled by a long shard of glass. Her gaze turns to Nathan, and with another inhuman shriek, he turns and runs. Lee Mei takes chase and overtakes him easily. With a flute motion, she kicks his legs out from under him, and he falls to the ground. He struggles to get up, but she slams her foot into his back, pinning him down. She draws the long glass shard from her hand and presses it into the back of his neck. I can barely make out Nathan's terrified cries, but Lee Mei looks disturbingly calm. Lee Mei! I can barely manage to whisper her name, and somehow she hears me. She opens her eyes to survey her work. She looks down at Nathan as if it's the first time she's seen him. With a quiet gasp, she tosses the glass blade away and takes a step back from him. He lets out a grateful, sobbing moan and scrambles away from her, desperately clawing at the tilled floor. Mei rushes to my side, her eyes widen at the sight of all of my blood.
Kangai!
I take a shaky breath. I really underestimated him, but I'm trying not to be too cut up about it. It's supposed to be a joke. Neither of us laugh. Mei presses one hand against my open wound and pulls out her phone with the other. I think it might be too late for that. It's even harder to breathe. My head is starting to feel light. Mei stubbornly shakes her head and dials a number on her phone. Whatever conversation has sounds a little more than frenzied sounds to my ear. As soon as she hangs up, she places her other hand on my leg. I look down at the hole in the back of her hand left by the glass from Nathan's sword. It's hard to tell, but I think I see wires. My blood is seeping through the hole, spilling out over her hands. It looks like you're bleeding. I think that was supposed to be a joke too, but I can't tell anymore. Why am I even trying to tell jokes right now? I'm cold, Mei. I don't think...
No!
Mei cuts me off with an emphatic cry.
Don't go! You can't go!
Her body shivers, and I realize that with all my blood on her, she's probably having a hard time even staying conscious.
If you go, I'll be sad.
My vision goes blurry, but I manage to place my hand on hers. Don't be. It's getting harder to feel anything. I take a deep breath and my chest shudders. I only wish I had more time. My grip on Mei's hands relaxes and the darkness claims me. Oh my god! Wow. Wow. That was... Wow. Okay, so that was the Mei end. That was pretty, emotional. Wow. Wow. Well, I'm gonna, go take a break now before I go on to the next end and get something to eat and, blow my nose and wipe my eyes and yeah. So anyways, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.